Hey everyone, Brian here at Redleaf Ranch. Ever since showing you guys the sunflowers, a lot of you asked how I'm gonna harvest it. As you can see, the sunflower is starting to droop over and wilt. And I actually think it's dried enough for at least for me to cut off the head. Um, and then I'm gonna set it out to dry a little longer so it's easier for the seeds to fall out. I wanna do this sooner rather than later because we have a lot of wild birds here and they've already made some of the dying sunflowers their personal bird feeders. So I want to make sure I get seed for us and for the chickens. So this is our mammoth sunflower. It's huge. And I think a pretty good way to tell if it's at least a good time to harvest the head is if their petals are crunchy. If they dry out like this, it's a pretty good telling sign that you can probably harvest the head. So I'm just gonna cut it at the base and then let the head sit out for a few days just to finish drying out completely, and then I'll collect the seeds. But for now, I'll show you the cutting of the head process. So cutting the head off is quite simple. You just want to cut it at the base here. Make sure you grab it because it's heavy, so it'll just plop straight to the ground. Let's see. Perfect. So here we have our head, and I actually didn't know this until I started growing sunflowers, but besides the actual giant sunflower head itself, there's hundreds of little individual flowers in the actual face of the flower. And all these little flowers are attached to a seed, and every single one needs to be pollinated in order for the seed to fertilize and grow, which is pretty neat because it takes quite a lot of work. It must take a lot of pollinators to get each one pollinated. And when it comes to actually getting the seed, if the head is dry enough, the little flowers should just swipe off and expose the seed, but some of it is still giving me a bit of resistance, so I'm gonna let this continue to dry actually for a few more days in our drying house, and then we'll check back and try and get some seeds. So before I set the giant mammoth head sunflower in the drying house, I'm actually gonna collect some more heads because there are a few other sunflowers that are about ready to dry. So let's see what we got. This one's pretty ready. They're coming off pretty easily. Oh, look at that. Look at all those seeds. I'm so happy we got to it before the birds did. The chickens are already going crazy. They just want the seeds. Gathered around. I'm gonna still let it set out to dry because I think the drier it gets, the easier it'll be to actually collect the seeds. They should just pop out at that point. They're still a little too attached. It's a lot. We have these smaller heads too. And I don't know if you can tell, but this one definitely got ravaged by some birds. I'm not sure if you can really tell through the camera, but there's barely any seeds in there. The birds beat us to it. There's a few, so we'll definitely save those for next year. I think this is our Velvet Queen. A really beautiful ombre of like mustard yellow to a burnt orange. A really beautiful, beautiful sunflower. So we have a few sunflowers that don't have any more heads on it, so I'm just gonna remove it from the bed completely. And what I'm gonna do, rather than pull out the root, I'm gonna cut it at the very base and leave the roots in the actual soil to decompose naturally and just help the ecosystem within the soil. I feel like pulling out the root really just disturbs the natural order of things in the soil. Let's cut it. Timber. Wow. To the compost. Before putting that in the compost, I think I'm going to chop it up into smaller pieces because when it's that big, it can be pretty hard for it to break down. So many seeds. It's kind of like anxiety relief to wipe off all the flowers and expose all the seeds. Wow, that's a lot of seed. Whoa. You know, you could actually eat sunflower heads. I've seen a lot of people that literally just grill it with some olive oil, salt, and pepper. That must be interesting. I don't think I'm gonna do that because I really want the seeds for the chickens. And we have so many. Wow. Usually when you deadhead annuals, that means like you remove the dying flowers. That might actually help it produce more heads, because rather than focusing its energy on creating those seeds in the flower head, it'll just refocus its energy into creating more flowers. So I would imagine the same applies to sunflowers. Hello. Hello. Okay. How you doing? Oh, okay. No. It's okay. It's alright. What I should probably do while doing this, because now I'm collecting a lot, is separate them so I know which is which. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose track of everything. This was another Velvet Queen. And we have a lot of seeds in this one. Yes. Look at that. Yay. Ooh. Good. Ready for some stress relief. Ooh. Oh, this one's so ready. Boy, look at that. It's crazy how many seeds sunflowers give. So abundant. Awesome. Nice. Ooh. It's so big. Oh. Damn. Oh. Guys, this is huge. Wow. It's like twice the size of my head. It's massive. It's beautiful. Are you guys ready for this? Oh my God. I'm growing these every year for the rest of my life. These are amazing. Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna finish harvesting the rest of our sunflowers and set them to dry. And when it comes time to actually harvest the seeds, I'll update you on that as well. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you guys love sunflowers, please let me know in the comments and what your favorite kinds are, because I would love to expand on our current collection of sunflowers. Brian here at Red Leaf Ranch. Take care, everyone.